Hello, I'm Bret Moss, and you're watching the defining moment for creating the culture of conscience. Our guest today is Eliza Mada Dalian. She's the author of the book, In Search of the Miraculous, Healing into Consciousness. Ms. Dalian is known to many as a healer, a mystic, and a spiritual teacher. In the early 1990s, she developed a groundbreaking new healing method known as DHM, or Dalian Healing Method. She also studied education and architecture. Mada was born in Armenia and immigrated to North America at the age of 24. She currently lives in Vancouver, Canada. She has a daughter, Helen, and two granddaughters, Magi and Shanti. Eliza Mada Dalian, welcome to the Defining Moment. It's really a pleasure for me to welcome you here to our show.
It's a great pleasure being here. Thanks very much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Our topic today is transforming and healing the ego mind. And I'd like to begin by inviting you to share a defining moment from your own life.
I was 5 when I saw my grandfather die. He was struggling with cancer. And I could tell he was going through a lot of pain. What was very, very profound for me is watching the whole process, how struggling physically, he finally came to a point of standstill, which was apparently a moment of death. I remember thinking about it as a child and thinking that one day I'm going to be dying too. And I thought the world will continue just as it's continuing after he died. People will be doing what they're doing. And a question arose in my mind, then who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? And I felt that probably this is the most important thing for me to find out. And probably life is giving me whatever life I'm going to have, which is temporary. Obviously, I see he's had his life and he's gone. Life is given to me for the purpose of finding out what is my truth. That has nothing to do with death. Obviously, death is not an end. It might be an end for the body. So that was a very defining moment that it made me think, what is my purpose? What is my life here for? And it was very clear, because I wasn't conditioned at that point to believe anything else. I had to rely on my own intelligence. So my intelligence said, you're here to find out who you are. And unless you find who you are, you will not be fulfilled. Because I had a sense that my grandfather did not die fulfilled. There was a sense of struggle. And once you really find your eternal being, there was a knowing inside me. I can't explain how. But it woke up a knowing that there's something eternal about me, but I need to find it. I need to know, who am I before I came here and after I leave?
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your defining moment with us. In your book, you speak about the spiritual lessons, which allow anyone to heal their 7 energy centers or chakras in the physical body, thereby allowing for expanded consciousness. Let's take a look at each one of those, okay? The first one that you identify in your book is called the foundation of life. Tell us more about that.
Before we entered the body, we were a certain consciousness and a certain energy. We call it soul. Yes. We know it as soul or spirit.
Yes.
So that soul, that spirit, incarnates into the body and comes from a larger knowing space. As we come into the body, the energy enters into the body. It needs to develop and needs to adjust as the body grows. The energy also evolves and the consciousness evolves. So the first center, or the first, obviously the most important thing in a physical reality is the physical body. So I call it, we call it the first, I call it the first body, which is related to the first chakra in the physical center, where energy gathers up. And it's ready then to evolve through our lifespan and grow through other centers. I call that body, the first body, instinctual body, which is connected with, it has its own intelligence. The physical body itself has an intelligence. For example, when the body is ill, the body knows. It gives us signals. Don't eat something or drink water. So we intuitively feel drawn to doing something right instinctively. So that's the wisdom of the first body, the first chakra, which is connected with the first chakra. It is also through which we connect with life, we procreate life, we experience the actual physical body through our first chakra, where we get the first experience of energy movement. So the location of the first chakra is at the bottom of the spine, at the very bottom of the spine in the genital area.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Now, the second chakra involves the survival of the physical body. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
The second chakra is more connected. We're connected with our mother through the umbilical cord. So that's where we're fed. That's how we survive. Through the umbilical cord. If it wasn't there, we wouldn't survive. So the memory of that survival or the body being fed and surviving is connected with the mother. The moment that umbilical cord is cut after we're born, suddenly there's a sense of separation. And that's where we need to reconnect somewhere with the source, which is also located, our center is located in the second chakra as well. It's, if we look at it, it's sort of like in the middle of the body, the second chakra. That's why it's called the center at the same time. So our work would be then in our development to connect with that second chakra, understand the instinct of survival that automatically is there, and transcend it. Normally, we have fear of survival, and that fear is in the second chakra. In order to cut through the fear very quickly, very immediately, we can do that through breathing into the second chakra, bringing the awareness there. The moment awareness comes in, the instinct, it's almost like cuts the root of instinct. Then the instinct, it works. It cannot not work because we're in the physical body. But the moment awareness comes in, there's a certain separation or disidentification from fear.
Okay.
And that's how we come into the center. That's what we call being centered.
So therefore, the breathing, connecting to that place in the body,
yes,
is a way in which to heal that, or to.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And that's the way to bring our energies back inwards.
And transcend that sense of fear for one's own survival? That's
right. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay, very clear. Thank you. The third energy center is developing self-power and decision-making ability.
Mm-hmm. For a child, they're not using their cognitive ability yet. So the energy is working through those lower chakras. And a way the child starts developing their power is by starting to say, no, I want this, I don't want this, screaming, crying, and really trying to assert themselves. So what happens normally in our society, we damage that process in our children by getting them to shut up, being frustrated when we don't understand why they're crying, and even when they start speaking and they start growing older, we try to mold them to follow what we believe, what we want.
The status quo, in a sense.
That's right. And so we damage that power center very early on, and then the self-esteem, obviously,
is affected.
Being affected, and we undermine unconsciously. And we do that because our parents did it to us, and their parents did it to them. And it's all an unconscious, sort of like a chain that continues until we recognize that something's wrong. And we start recognizing when we're older, and then we start struggling into healing that. And we do need to heal our power center if we want to reach higher to the heart and move our energy into greater consciousness. The third chakra is located in between the ribs. Where the second chakra was located just a couple of inches below the navel, and the third chakra is between the ribs, and that's where we feel. It's called a solar plexus in the East, and it's connected with power, the sun.
Okay, and so what are the ways we can go about healing that, or in a sense developing an empowering relationship with that chakra?
The first step would be acceptance. Acceptance of our feelings, acceptance of our anger, acceptance of our inner truth. Because we haven't been allowed to be angry, we haven't been allowed to have a tantrum, we haven't been allowed to speak our own feelings.
There's a lot of pent-up energy there.
That's right. And not only pent-up, it's twisted in a sense that we doubt ourselves. And because when we doubt ourselves, then obviously self-esteem is not existent. You can't have really strong self-esteem if you keep doubting yourself.
So in a sense, tell me if this is correct, we have kind of a deformed child within each of us.
We do, unfortunately.
And the best way to care for that deformed child within us is to embrace and accept rather than reject, right?
Absolutely.
Am I onto something here?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell us more about that.
Yes, and this is the difficult part, because we try to do that as an adult, and those programs are so set in our body. They're like computer programs, they're in the hardware, and it's very difficult to access into the body. We try to do it cognitively through the mind.
Yes, and so what are some of the techniques or methodologies for doing that?
Well, that's why I developed my healing method, whereby I go into the body, I go into all the thought forms, emotions that are programmed, and the memory is still in the body, it's in the cells.
Yes.
And I help those to be expressed back. And many times people have difficulty with it because the conditioned mind says, oh, it's not good to say, I hate you. But that's how we suppress our energy. And that's how we suppress our true love and true compassion, because just imagine if our energy is suppressed here, it doesn't have a chance to go higher into heart, into the fourth chakra, which is transforming the energy into love.
And that affects our relationships with other people.
Absolutely.
Our happiness,
That's
our sense
right.
of belonging.
That's right.
What else?
Absolutely. Well, it basically makes us artificial. Because we then talk, but then we're not really authentic with our feelings. We say things based on...
We say one thing and mean another.
Totally. Totally. Yes.
We say yes when we really mean no.
Exactly, and that's the experience I had as a child, where I could actually hear thought forms, people's thoughts, and I also sense that they're really thinking something else, but saying something totally different, and it's very confusing.
Yes, so that's where the inauthenticity.
That's right, and we all suffer as a society. We all do.
We're all in a sense seeking for something authentic, something real. Yes.
Yes, and we don't know how to get there.
Right, and so we look in all the wrong places.
That's right.
As a society.
And we try to fix something. We can't say, well, anger is bad, don't get angry. That's how we try to fix something or change something. What we're doing is putting a lid on the energy. But behind that anger, there is wisdom. Why would somebody get angry or frustrated? Because there's something which your soul knows is not really happening correctly. And if you can connect with the anger and express it or welcome it and accept it, then there's an opportunity for you to become conscious of it. The moment you become conscious of it, you don't have to do anything, the anger drops. And it transforms into gratitude.
Okay, good. Gratitude, and so this is what is known as developing one's awareness, or reaching a higher state of awareness or consciousness.
Yes, that's how we develop our consciousness.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. The fourth chakra involves something that Jesus talks about, which is transforming instinctual lust into unconditional love. Tell us about that.
This is basically what we were talking about just a minute ago, about the way we can transform into love, true love, is when we allow ourselves to be true with who we are. Jesus has been known as going into the temple and throwing the money changers.
Yeah.
So, and he's known to get angry. We don't want to look at that, but we need to look at that because it's so significant. Only a person who can be authentic with themselves can also be compassionate and loving. Because only a person who can accept their own anger can also accept somebody else's anger and understand it. And unless you understand that people are not different, they have the same emotions as I do. And if I accept myself, I would accept other people. Therefore, my heart stays open. I will not judge them. I will not reject them. I will understand and feel compassionate toward them and help them to grow higher and transform the raw emotions, or more the lower chakra functioning, into a higher consciousness and higher being. Because we all know that when we are feeling love, we feel more whole. And if we go into lower chakras, for example, an experience, a physical or sexual experience, gives us a certain sense of well-being. And as the energy moves, we suddenly start feeling love as well. So we can start feeling that love all the time if our consciousness is functioning at that level in the fourth chakra.
Okay, and if it's not, if it's trapped, such as in the case of instinctual lust, that becomes a kind of poison in the society, does it not?
That's right.
Tell us about that.
Well, if we look around, we can see how much perversion is all around. Even through internet, with all the junk mail we're getting. It's there because for centuries we've been suppressing something that has been natural. And therefore people they think about something that is a taboo all the time. If it's allowed, then you don't need to think about it. You just live it and you move on.
And there's also a place for morality and ethics in terms of right and wrong.
That morality arises as your energy moves higher in your chakras. A man-made morality is not a true morality.
So you're talking about the conscience.
I'm talking about the conscience, and the conscience needs to be true. I mean, we know so many cases that, somebody's in God's house and preaching love, and then they go and abuse children.
Right.
So this is not true love.
I understand. So you're talking about but actually hearing the voice of conscience liberated from all of the trappings of the corrupt society.
We can be liberated only if we go and accept what is natural. We accept our body. We accept our sexuality. We accept our emotions. If we don't do that, we cannot be authentic.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. The fifth energy center pertains to developing individuality and freedom of expression.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're already sort of speaking about that, yes?
That's right.
Tell us more about
That's
the
right.
fifth chakra.
The fifth chakra is another chakra which is quite damaged in a society. Is the way we suppress our emotions is by not speaking them. And the fifth chakra is connected with our expression, which is connected with our creativity, which is connected with the energy going higher into sharing. And it's impossible to share something freely if we doubt ourselves in the third chakra, if we carry anger, if we're obsessed with our sexuality because we have difficulty expressing it freely, or there's conditionings that say it's not good. So those lower chakras not developed properly keep pulling our attention down, so we can't go higher. In the fifth chakra, we reach the fifth chakra when we feel comfortable with who we are, when we're naturally okay with our power. The fifth chakra, if we have reached the fifth chakra, then we're content with ourselves, we're content with who we are, and we're not afraid to say whatever we feel.
Yes.
And that's where we need to aim to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how there's an expression, the chakra opens. That's how the chakra opens.
And when a person is in that place, the self-expression is very natural.
That's right.
That's right. It's true. True freedom exists there. Yes.
Very, very true. Yes, exactly. True freedom exists there because you can speak. If everything's moving, just imagine an energy flow, river flowing through your body. Energy's moving, and everything's in place. Then whatever you speak will come through the understanding and through the heart, instead of if the heart is somewhere not existent and the energy jumps from one side to the other, then you're expressing anger. So then there's no understanding and there's no connection. But if it's flowing and you've allowed yourself to express how you feel without throwing it on other people, then you're free and you can express whatever your truth. Mm-hmm. Honor your truth.
And that truth will likely be easily received by others because it comes from the core of who you are.
That's right. And it resonates with everyone because everyone wants to come to the same place.
Mm. Okay, very, very interesting. And what's the location of the fifth chakra?
It's in the throat, right here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not a coincidence, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the sixth chakra has to do with developing wisdom and intelligence and discovering your being. Tell us about that one.
So the sixth chakra is located between the eyebrows. Assuming that the energy is well developed in all the chakras and it's moving very freely, once it reaches to the sixth chakra, that's our inner eye. So there's a third eye, as they call it in the East, which exists between the two physical eyes. Mm-hmm. And that's the third eye. If you close your eyes, there's a certain awareness you have about yourself. You go to sleep and you have dreams and you see it as though it's happening right here. So all that is connected with the third eye. The third eye is the wisdom eye, the wisdom that knows that there's something beyond the physical. There's something, it's connecting more to the soul, to the spirit, to recognizing that I'm not separate.
We're all connected.
That's right. And it's not just a mental statement of we're all one, but it's more like a knowing, that an understanding, a wisdom. I call that the wisdom center. There's a wisdom that knows about oneness, the wisdom that knows about the steps that life needs to go through, and there's no fighting. There is more a compassionate, loving, receptive surrender to life and to whatever life provides, because that wisdom knows whatever life gives me, it's an opportunity for me to become conscious of something and transform.
To grow in a sense.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. To grow personally and transform to a higher consciousness within myself.
Okay, beautiful. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And finally, the seventh chakra involves dissolving the ego. Tell us about that.
So the seventh chakra is located on top of the head in the crown. And if we look at energy mathematically, simply, as the energy moves from the first center and starts opening, through the movement there is an expansion. Obviously it moves through our arms, which is connected with the heart center, how we hug each other and we open our arms to receive and to share. And so it sort of like opens up like a cone. As it reaches the seventh chakra, there is a jump into beyond the physical. You jump out of the body suddenly and you realize a different dimension. There's a different dimension. There's a different reality, which is a non-physical reality. Well, many people who... this is a very complex, there's so many avenues to describe this. Some people have had near-death experiences.
Yes.
These experiences are where people have the experience of jumping out through the seventh chakra into a different dimension. They can even see their body. They see what's going on around.
Yes.
So there is a seeing. There's an
out-of-body experiences.
Out-of-body experiences, yes. Mm-hmm. So that's one example.
Okay.
And there's a certain recognition of I'm not separateness,
mm-hmm.
and knowing of that. And many people describe that as a journey. They feel they're going through the tunnel, and suddenly there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and they meet a light being. So that's the dimension where we move into past the struggles of life, if you will, into a consciousness which is more all-knowing, all-present.
It's really kind of, you could say, entering the spiritual world or the spiritual realm, yes?
More vividly.
More
vividly.
Yes.
Because
we're always in it anyway.
We're always in it, but we more vividly see it.
Okay, good.
And if we translate that into vibrational way, so as the energy moves through the chakras, the vibrations change, the frequency changes. So as we come to the seventh chakra, the frequency becomes very, very, it's almost like there's no movement anymore. The more movement, the more we're in a physical body. You might be sitting and just feeling love, so that there's no movement, but there is a certain movement of energy which is a lot more subtler than if we're moving the body.
Right.
And as you go into the wisdom, feels like there's no movement is happening, but there's a knowing that is going on. And as you come into the seventh, there is a sense of absolute no movement, but the recognition of movement. So there's no separation between movement and no movement.
Okay, fascinating. Tell us more about dissolving the ego.
Dissolving the ego is what we call Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, recognition, self-realization, enlightenment. All these words have been used. Or knowing your original face, like they use it in Japan. Basically, that's a fruition of the journey of recognizing who you are, recognizing that you're eternally here. All you do is change forms. We're temporarily on this planet Earth. We might be moving to another planet. The whole universe is there for us to explore, and the universe is our home.
Okay, would it be similar to nirvana in Buddhism?
Yes, it's called could be called nirvana. Yeah.
On that note, Mada Dalian, I want to thank you so much for having been our guest. How can our viewers get a hold of your book?
It's available at Amazon.com. It's available on my website. It's madadalian.com, MADADALIAN.
I want to thank you so much for having been our guest. It's been fascinating for me to listen to everything you've had to share.
Thank you very much, Bret. It's been a pleasure being here and sharing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been watching The Defining Moment for Creating the Culture of Conscience. You can find us on the internet at www.definingmoment.tv. Thanks for watching and have a great day.